Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. It's my own, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Well, hey there, good people. Hey there. I hope that you are doing wonderful and well. Welcome to another episode of The Real Journey of the Entrepreneur. I am so excited to have you come to the table and listen and share the journey of the entrepreneurs that I interview on this show. I can tell you that each episode gets extremely good. And guess what? This episode is no different. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am excited to welcome you to another episode. I am also the founder and CEO of 11375. We inspire organizations to really take a deep look into what they are doing in business. We help to support business consultants. I consider myself an OG in certain spaces, original guardian, not OG, original gangster. Even though I'm from Brownsville, Brooklyn, I am an original guardian. And we provide strategies that help to build business connections within the space of government contracting. That is our sweet sauce that we help entrepreneurs in addition to business development and startup. But you are here and you are going to be in for a treat. As I mentioned, if you've been following me on social media at 11375, I most recently participated in a business accelerator with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And I have to tell you that it has allowed me to do some things that you're going to see some things happen in the future as a result of me participating, but not just me. I am excited to present one of the cohort members that happened to be a part of my CEO group, affectionately known as the MVP. So, Michael is the CEO and he's not the founder. And this is what I'm going to say. He's the CEO of Pressure King. And one of the things that we discovered throughout our learnings is the process of purchasing a business as your starting point, not creating a business or taking 8-9 years like I did to start 11375 from scratch. But there's another entry point that we discovered. And when we see it on the news, we see like these larger organizations, they're purchasing other small businesses or larger businesses, they're buying them out. We're like, we care, but not really. But when we met Mike, it was one of those things like, oh, we now know someone, and it's now a human thing that we can learn from in business. But that is not all Mike does. Let me take a pause and now introduce to the world the CEO of Pressure King, affectionately known as the MVP. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Anita, how's it going? Thanks for the awesome introduction. you're my favorite in the cohort. Don't tell everyone else that.
Wow. I appreciate that, right? So yeah. Mike, tell us a little bit more about you, Mike the man, Mike the MVP. Like, who are you outside of this CEO stuff?
Good question. I'm Nigerian. My parents grew up in Nigeria. Uh, we came here when I was what, about 7 years old. Um, so my personality, I guess, is wrapped up in business. My grandmother was a business owner. My dad was a business owner. My mom was a business owner. So that's just what I saw growing up. And that's kind of, so we moved to New Jersey. Basically spent the teenage years in Jersey, Central Jersey to be exact. If anyone knows Newark Airport, that area. Um, and then did college, and I went to DC for school. So I went to the George Washington University in DC. So after high school, I wanted to go to Rutgers, but I also wanted to kind of separate from the parents a little bit. So so I went to DC, and that was fun. Um, Honestly, what was most memorable about that was going to a school in a different state. I just got to meet a lot of people from different walks of life,
Mm.
uh, and that's kind of a theme that I've taken with me in life. Just put yourself in different environments every so often, just to see what the world has to offer. Um, but yeah, and I'm engaged to be married in a few short months now, so I have that going for me as well. So yeah, that's basically my story.
That's it, Mike. Oh, so we're done with the interview. That's it. Done.
Yeah, at that point, Pressure King, that's the side business.
So
The
let me ask you this, Mike. So you, um, unlike most of us, have been consistently been exposed to entrepreneurship, business ownership. So what made you transition into now owning Pressure King?
Yeah, good question. So as I said, my entire family we were business owners. The way I look at myself since I was 5, I remember my dad would come back from trips. Back then, he used to go from Nigeria to China to export goods. So it would be gone for a month, and it would come back, and you just always had all these stories. And my mom used to sell basically seafood, and she'll go basically to the port or the river, buy a bunch of different kind of fish, and then we'll freeze it. It was just kind of the excitement of business was just something I've always had. So even from high school, since I could remember, I've always wanted to be a business owner. My only caveat there was I always said, well, I don't want to pay an accountant, and I didn't want to pay a lawyer. So I needed to go to school to learn accounting, and I needed to kind of know a little bit about law. So that was my entire plan, was kind of like, I'm going to go to school, do the accounting, get the experience, and then at some point, I'm going to jump into business. So my entire life, I've basically always wanted to be a business owner.
So you got the secret sauce of being having that knowledge base of being an accountant.
Yeah.
How is that helpful for you when you decided to transition in on your own?
It's really helpful because I think the way I always put it is accounting is the language of business. That's kind of like saying, are you going to go to Mexico and not know any Spanish? It just doesn't, it doesn't work. And the more you know about accounting, the more you learn about the language. And I say that, I want to be cautious how I say that. And being an accountant doesn't mean you're good in business. It just means you know the language. Similar to just going on this same example, a lot of people take Spanish in high school, but are you are you like are you proficient in speaking Spanish? That's something else. You have to actually, you know, kind of immerse yourself in Spanish before you really know how to, speak it. So the way I look at it is accounting is learning the language, but you still have to practice it. And that's where business ownership comes in. You have to actually feel the pain of
Mhm.
payroll coming up, of making purchases and all of that. You can't, it's not just the paper. You have to actually go through it. So it helps a lot. It gives you a nice back platform to start from. Um, and it just, I think without accounting, it would take me a lot longer to get to where I am now.
That's the reason why Mike was affectionately labeled the MVP, because when we were going through, to Mike's point, we're in business, right? And some of us have amassed, generated a lot of revenue, and we have very baseline knowledge about our numbers. And when we were going through that section, it's a section in module that dealt with, it was like either you and the numbers or something like that. We were like you know it was tough, right? And so that just confirms that as a business owner, that you really have to, you don't have to be the seasoned expert, but you do have to understand, what's happening, and tell the story, what's happening within your business through your knowing, having a dance or a conversation or whatever it is with your personal accountant, but not just saying my accountant knows or that. So that was a couple of lessons that came out. And so shout out to the MVP for holding our hand through the process, because I think we all was tipping over that day, that month.
And honestly, we all helped each other because there were some modules where people in the core had a better grasp on what's going on, and and that's business, right? You have to lean on each other.
That's what we learned. So Pressure King, Pressure King.
Yes, ma'am.
When did that come about for you?
um, so in 2020, right, COVID is going on.
Mm.
I am working as an investment banker in New York City, and they sent us all home in March, and we were working from home. And as I told you, at that point, I had already started planning on switching over to business ownership. Um, but being an investment banker, you're very busy. You're working 12 plus hours a day. The time isn't there. But then all of a sudden, this opportunity opened up. I had all this time. Um, I say that laughing. I hope
Right.
none of my bankers are listening to this. But
Right.
I had all this time, and I'm like, all right, let me really take this seriously and see. You know, at that point, honestly, I was thinking maybe I'll acquire something, still have my day job, but kind of just have a business that I'm learning from. Um, but I started looking, and I came across the prior owner of Pressure King, and we just hit it off right from day one. He also was an accountant. I mean, he's 75 years old, but earlier in his career, he also was an accountant, and he was very much like, I'm ready to retire. My kids are not interested in the business. I'm a little bit, I don't have the same energy that I used to have, and we just kind of had a good relationship, a good vibe. And so basically, I just rode that wave, and I was like, let me see what happens. And I just kept pushing forward, kept pushing forward. Um, I At that same point, I also read two books, and some of your audience may know these books, but there's a book called Buy and Build, which is a really big book in the acquisition world, and then there's the Harvard Business Review. I think make buying a small business, Harvard Business Review buying a small, and it goes into a lot of like the economics of buying a small business and a lot of detail. So I read those two books. I went to a conference, and for me, it was kind of like an eye opener. I was like, oh my God, I could do this. It's like, because at that point, I was an investment banker dealing with like $1 billion acquisitions. So to your point earlier, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't think this is for me. And then all of a sudden I read these books and it's like, yeah, you could do it on a small scale. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. So that's basically the story behind that.
So I got questions,
Mhm.
right? Like, how did you decide that it was worth the purchase? Um, where did you, so you said that you read two books, but you didn't find this specific opportunity through the books. It was through your research. You want to share a little bit about that?
Sure, sure. Um, so what I'll say about that is the process of looking for a business is very much similar to the process of being a business owner.
Mm,
And what I have to say to that is a lot of times, it's not just out there that we're available for sale. You have to kind of figure it out, meaning you have to go into businesses that you like or you think you would enjoy and talk to the owners. Um, there's a saying in finance: every business is available for sale. Just name the price, right? So once you
yep.
talk to the owner, everyone is willing to sell depending on the price. Now, a lot people are in different stages of life, right? If buying a business from a 30-year-old is much different than buying a business from a 65, 70, 75-year-old because they're ready to retire. And a lot of business owners, the business is their 401k, if you want to look at it that way, right? That's just like the house is what when you sell that's when you kind of realize your savings.
Mm,
So the way I approached it was really I first started with what neighborhood I wanted to own a business in. So that was my first step. I identified the neighborhood, and for me personally, it was based on neighborhoods that I thought I could see myself and a family in. Because I never want, like, my ultimate dream is to have a job or business where I could walk to work. That's like my ultimate dream. um, and not work from home because I want a location, but I want to be able to just get up and just jog or walk to work. That's my dream. So I wanted a neighborhood that I could see myself in, with a family. And so that narrowed it down. And then basically I would just drive around that neighborhood. I made a bunch of business cards, made a bunch of postcards. If I see a business that I thought was interesting, I would, drop off my card, try to talk to the owners, looked online. There's a website called uh, now the name is losing me, but there's a website that's pretty popular for buying businesses. Um, Looked online, searched based on the neighborhood, and just keep doing that day by day, like 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, um, and then you try to also you tell people what you want, meaning you tell your accountant, you look for brokers, you basically put it out there into the world that this is what I want to do, and you'd be surprised. A lot of times, people are trying to help. And if you tell them, I want a business in, I don't know, I want to buy a trucking company or whatever, and you put it out there, believe it or not, brokers are out there trying to sell trucking companies, and they'll reach out to you and say, hey, is this something you're interested in?
wow. Okay. You see why he's the MVP? There you go. Um, this is super helpful. The way you're breaking it down makes it very simple. That couple of things that I took note of. One is you got to have a vision, right? So you have a vision on what it is that you want to do. That's first. Then I heard you say that you read to build your business acumen, right? How critical is that? Yes, you do research, not just on Instagram. You got to fact check, right? I'm her. I will tell you to read books. One, a lot of the books are for free if you go to the library. Um, but if you want to become knowledgeable, do your research, conduct your research. Mike said 6 hours. That is how intentional he was in doing the work. It did not take 6 days for him to decide. It took quite a long time, it sounds, to invest in this vision. So don't tell me that you started something yesterday and you made $1 million the next day. It does take time. You can go viral, but sometimes the conversion of the checks into your bank account doesn't always materialize until you do the work. So I really appreciate that. Um, what type of capital did you have to have available? Did you have to have a good credit score? Did you have to, leverage the bank's resources to fund this vision? You mind sharing?
Yeah, no, I mean, so there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I would say there's a lot of different ways, and it's a lot more achievable than you think. So the first part of it, about it is, and this part I kind of knew even in my time on Wall Street, essentially a business is an asset that makes money. So from the bank's perspective, let's say you have no money in your bank account, but you want to go buy a business that makes $1 million a year. Well, the bank is willing to lend you $1 million a year. That's just because you're saying, I'm going to go get this asset that will bring me money. Obviously, whoever's selling it is not going to just sell it for nothing. So, but depending on, and my point in giving that example is to say, you don't have to have all this money in the bank. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. And frankly, at the highest levels of business, most large, 20, 30, $40 billion acquisitions or purchases you see are financed through debt. Like that's just how it happens. So it's not that, oh man, all these people have all this cash, and it's a lot of it is bank financing. Do you need a good credit score? No, not necessarily. I mean, it's good to have. It's not necessary. This is the other side of it. If you're in the, let's call it like 30 to 50 range, if you have a lot of experience, people are willing to give you capital to go buy a business. That's another way that's very popular, because and this is something I think a lot of people don't believe. Money is actually not the issue. There's a lot of money in the world. Finding someone that's dedicated and hardworking and that's going to operate the business, that's the issue. So there are a lot of people that have capital, that have money, that are looking for somewhere to put it. But they want to make sure that let's say I'm an investor and I want, to invest in a business. Well, I'm busy with my day job. I can't run the business. I need someone that's going to be there every day and run it and be responsible. So ideally, I want to give them money to go buy a business. That's kind of how it works. So a lot of it is, if you're responsible, if you are, driven, if you have a vision, basically all the things you said, you'll find the money. Like there's enough money in this world. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I think the Treasury releases every month how much money is in circulation. It's something ridiculous. We're talking trillions of dollars. So there's enough money in this world to buy most businesses that you're going to need to buy.
So essentially, you need to have a plan.
You need to
In
have a
order-
plan.
You need to have a you need to let me clear this for those who may be listening late night. You need to have a written growth or business plan, not just deciding that, oh, I'm going to start something and it's going to be profitable, without knowing where your numbers, where your funding, where your client, how you're going to operate, who you're going to market to, blah 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 blah. You need a plan. And what I can tell you, some of my is interesting, because I didn't start my business from debt. I pulled some of my resources from savings when I transitioned into this space of entrepreneurship. And what I know now is that I could have funded it and been a lot further along in my business had I known these things. So it's really important not to be afraid to have conversations with your bank. First of all, let me pull back a bit. Make sure you have a business bank account. Let me start with that. Maybe a little bit fundamental, but that is how you begin to have relationships with the people who have the resources to help you to fund your business. That part, Mike, you're smiling and nod your head because what you going to say afterwards?
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, I tell people all the time, don't be afraid of the bank. They're there to, at the end of the day, the bank's job is to lend money. That's the job. They can't just keep it. It's they have to give it up. And they honestly, what they want to do is lend it to you if possible. All you have to show them is that you're responsible. So that's and don't be afraid of it is what I tell people, that build that relationship. Of course, they're not just going to trust you with a bunch of money from day one. Build that relationship slowly, and you'd be surprised because at the end they can't just hold on to the money because that's not their business. The business is to give it out.
That part. And that part. So, what are some of the challenges that you've experienced that you purchased instead of starting a business from the ground up? You mind sharing?
Yeah, yeah. So some of the biggest challenges, Pressure King. What we do, we did it, but we sell cleaning equipment to commercial solutions. The way I would describe it basically is that, um, if you ever go into the city early in the morning, anytime before 6, you're gonna see people power washing the sidewalks, people cleaning the subway, basically all the equipment they're using. We sell those. So we sell to government, we sell to food manufacturers, and then we sell to small businesses. Um, that being so, I say all of that to say some of the challenges when you buy a business is you're buying something that has history. It has, so you have to decide, do you want to be a part of that? Because you're it's not, I don't want to, it's not yours, so to speak. It's a growing thing, and so you have to see if you fit into what that history is. And an example for me would be, if I was the kind of person that didn't like to get, like, didn't think I could, like, wake up early or get dirty or whatever, then this is probably not the right business for me, because our customers are tend to be customers that are in the cleaning business. It's a little bit more rugged industry. So you have to say, does that fit my style, right? Because you're buying into it. You're kind of opting into it, and I think that's a challenge a lot of people go through, and when you're buying a business. And some other challenges are just in terms of managing customers' expectation. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to provide the best service possible, and as the business owner, you're the responsible person. So if you have to be up at 3 a.m., or if you have to go to a demo at midnight, on a Friday, that's just what you have to do. So some of the challenges is making, for me, giving the customer the best experience is something that I pride myself in, and that's something we strive to do. So that's a big challenge because sometimes something happens and we know it's not necessarily our fault, but we still have to go out there and do the best that we can to make sure that the customer feels like, you know, they could count on us, because that's the message we're trying to send. So those are some of the main challenges.
So I have a something else just dawned on me. You didn't know how to clean streets before owning Pressure King, correct? Like you had to
No.
go through training because the one thing I'm gonna say shout out, if you're out there cleaning those streets, I'm gonna say thank you, because the New York City streets and these streets sometimes I be like I struggle. Yeah, so thank you. But how did you learn? You know, this is a totally different industry that so now you go from being, you know, wearing the suit and having a corporate card, so now you know, learning about different equipment. That how? What did you do to learn this stuff?
So it's funny you say that, and maybe it's a skill that I have, but I believe everyone has it. Similar to what I said about buying a business actually prepares you to be a business owner. A lot of it is you just have to go out there. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to put in the time, and you have to, you know, not be afraid. Like, you're right. Part of it is learning the equipment and saying, you know what, I'm gonna watch as many training videos that I could find. I'm going to read. I mean, there's a book about servicing pressure washers that I read. I mean, you know, you just have to die. It takes time. It definitely takes time. But you know, just like buying a business, you have to kind of embrace yourself in it. It's the same owning a business also, because and every step of the way for me, I mean, we sell pressure washers, now we sell steamers, and every new equipment or new service, it's like you're always learning. So that was the way I approached it. I just, in my head, I was just like, is this an industry I want to learn about? Okay, yes. All right, let me go to your point. Let me go read. Let me go get some books. Let me go read about it. Let me talk to people. I remembered before I bought the business, I called uh, a dealer in California, and he gave me some tips as well. So let me go talk to people. Let me go talk to the customers, and you know, you just basically you really jump into the pool and you try to learn. It takes a long time. It takes a lot. The way I look at it is, you could either do 1 hour a day and take forever, or you could do 8 hours a day and just try to shorten it and just really be into it. So that was how I learned. I just got a bunch of books, watched a bunch of videos, talked to a lot of people.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that you talked to someone across country to get information. You didn't think that was him sharing his trade secrets to his new competitor? Like, how'd you make that work?
So this is one thing I learned in the like big business acquisition world was, so I'll say this story because I think it was funny. When hold on a second. When Amazon was looking for real estate,
Mhm.
there was a lot of story about New York, DC, all this stuff, and there was a Wall Street uh, article that I read, and the person was like, "Oh, he's only gonna buy. He's gonna Jeff Bezos is only gonna put the headquarters in these couple states. Like, don't worry about the other states." And he was like, "I know this because these are the states he has a house in. So those are the states that headquarters are gonna be in." And I say that in a story because, like, a lot of times your competitors, when they're next door, yeah, they're competitors. If I had called someone in Jersey, they look at me as a competitor. But if I called someone in California, frankly, they probably look at me more as an opportunity, in
Mm.
that if they want to do something in New Jersey, or maybe if I want to do something in California, they're like, this is an opportunity. And that's where I kind of was like, okay, I'm not gonna call someone in Jersey or New York or Connecticut. I'm gonna go out to California, see if they'll give me some information. Of course, they're not gonna just open the entire book to you and give you everything, but you'd be surprised. I find that when you come to someone saying, I just want to learn, like, I'm trying to learn a little bit about this. And especially when you do something for someone, they tend to give you something back. At that point, I think for him, after the first call, I have this habit of I'll send over like something little, just like a card and some like candy or something like that. And he was so appreciative that we had another call and we spoke for like 2 hours. And the candy cost was like $20. The card was like $2, and shipping was maybe another $5. So that was and I stick to that even to this day. We send all of our customers at the end of the year something, and you'd be surprised. As soon as something goes out at the end of the year, we get customers that call and like, oh, I want to order this. I got that in the mail, so it reminded me to get this. And um, I'm a big believer in you give something, and people give you something back. That's just the way I think the world works. So yeah, I didn't think it was a competitor that was gonna. I gave him. I was nice. I was honest. I said, "Hey, I'm buying this business. It's in New Jersey. I'm not from the industry, and I'm just trying to learn." And he was like, "Okay, here's what you need to know."
So I'm gonna share. I don't know if you remember this conversation during the cohort. Mike had to talk me off of a ledge because um, I am a Black woman in business, right? So, when this particular conversation was like, let's go to dinner, I was like, for what? Like, what are we going to do? I'm like, I'm married. I ain't going, like, it was, Mike was like, no, it's because there was some other things that was said, like, oh, I'm gonna make you blow up. And I'm like, that's not the type of relationship that I'm looking to let. Mike was like, no, you're looking at it wrong. Like, just real, like, calm. And I was like, nope. I was like, I'm not going to dinner. I'm not doing like none of that. But I'm going to tell you, this is the comma and follow up, Mike, that we didn't talk about, but I'll say it here. I did not go to dinner, but I did wind up having a follow up conversation, and we're going to be working together because that whole dinner thing, it's certain things. And I know I'm like veering off just a little bit. Like when you're in business and you're a woman in business as a man, it looks different.
Yeah.
So it looks so different. So I just remember in certain stages of my life that there's certain things and certain perceptions that I have to manage as a woman business owner. Not that it doesn't happen to a man, but it's just different. So Mike was real good at coaching me off of that spot. And we're going to be doing business, later on in the year. So it's interesting about leveraging relationships, not looking at, others as like you're at war. So you have to know your competitors and what they offer and figure out how you can fill those gaps so that you too can either work, build opportunities, create space long term, but also just figure out how you're going to be managing yourself in this space. So, see, I listen.
No, I like it. That was awesome. I mean, congratulations too.
Yeah, I didn't do the dinner because it was just like,
It's too much.
that was too much for me. Or if I do it, I'll bring Mike with me. How about that? Big problem solved. Problem
does he does he need a pressure washer? Because I got this.
No, but no, but we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. So I want to ask you about your operations, right? What is that? How do you, and within this space? So you're in this space, you are selling this product. How do you make social impact, or do you build that into your business now, or will you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So one of the main reasons that I'm in business is, to your point. So prior to banking, I worked at KPMG, which is one of the big four accounting firms, and then banking. And while I appreciate that experience, I also do feel like I don't know of a lot of companies at that size and that scale that I think really embrace, that are founded by a minority or have strong women leadership. Or I'm not saying there isn't any. I just think there should be more. And so part of why I'm in business is I basically want to build this platform where I want to have, to be blunt, I want a business that could compete at that level, but is so diverse, just to prove to the world, like, look, you don't have to like give us something. Like, we're good, we're good enough. Like, we can compete at any level. Um, and I think, uh, and there's a book that I read that I really love, and it's a book that's popular on Wall Street, and it's like, why do white men get to have all the fun? And that's just one of my favorite books. And it's kind of like, it's basically about this guy that started essentially it's a PE firm, and basically blew it up. It became one of the biggest PE firms, and it's competing on the same level as other PE firms. And that just kind of, that push motivated me personally, because it's kind of like, yeah, I want a business that is big enough to compete at the largest scale, with a strong showing at the management level of minorities, women, people that are, whether underprivileged in any capacity whatsoever. Because I think having an infrastructure that supports that, and a business that shows that, I think that's just important for society. So that's kind of like my why. If you To answer that question, that's my kind of like social impact that I'm looking to make. Um, it's not as much on the product level as it is for me on the business level.
So let me just tell you that I want to just keep emphasizing this, right? Mike mentioned 3 books so far. I'm going to start with the one he just mentioned, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? This is about Reginald Lewis, who was a lawyer, street wizard, philanthropist, and one of the wealthiest black men at the time in American history. And that was one. You also mentioned Buy and Build as well. Um, that author is Walker
Walker Dybul.
Diebold, right? So I wanna emphasize this because you know you are sharing what most of us who are now in business understand about the importance of building your business acumen. So I'll share. So I consider myself really good in the government contracting space now. Now, if you'd have asked me this like 5 years ago, I'd have been looking at you with like 3 heads. Why? Is because I study, I attend webinars, I go to events, and a lot of times that I go to events, I am probably one of very few Black women in business, right? But I show up, and guess what I do? I bring back the source to people who need to know. So, thus, 11375 building resource, right? Because again, to this point, why should white guys have all the fun? I don't know. We want to have fun too. We want we want to do stuff too, and that is a thing that we are building as business owners. So MVP, I don't want to let you go. I feel like I could talk to you all day. You are so knowledgeable. and so thorough, and we appreciate you and what you're doing to make impact. But I'm not going to let you go just yet. Couple of things. What are some tips that you can offer? If someone wants to jump into this space of purchasing a business and they don't want to start from the bottom, they want to just come in the middle, or what do you recommend? What do you recommend?
Um, that's a good question. The first thing I'll say is make sure it's something you want to do. Anita, as you know, business ownership is not it's not easy. So make sure it is something you want to do. The best way I could put it is honestly, there are easier ways to make money. My time on Wall Street is easier than what I do now. I'll be just straight up. So my first tip is talk to yourself, talk to your family, make sure that's a path you want to go on. And then the second is look for people that have traveled that road before you. The easiest way to, I forgot the exact saying, but it's like a wise person, a knowledgeable person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So look for people that have already traveled that road, because honestly, they'll be able to tell you what to avoid. And frankly, the easiest way to move quickly is to avoid mistakes.
Mhm.
So whether it's reaching out to people like myself, if you're interested in acquisition, people like Anita, other business owners in your community, that's definitely something I would recommend. And then then just be consistency. In whatever it is you want to do, you want to whatever it is you want to do. If it's buy a business, the way I look at this is I set a number of hours. If you're gonna go to work for 8 hours, then if you should be doing this for 8 hours. So if you're not doing it for 8 hours, then you're not ready. You're not, in my opinion, you're not ready for that. But so consistency and just keep chipping the block, just keep one step at a time. So to summarize it, I'd say first make sure it's what you want to do. Talk to your family, talk to yourself, reach out to people that have already walked the path and learn as much from them, and then put in effort, hard work. Just be consistent about it and work hard at it. And I think that's basically the secret sauce.
I think the secret sauce is also, if I may add, is just read. Like you, you,
Yes. Yes.
you drop some gems. Like just taking time to invest in learning to build your business muscle.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike, CEO of
Yeah.
Pressure King. Pressure King is in the building. So, all right, couple of quick ones.
Okay.
What's your favorite, sneakers or shoes?
Ooh, sneakers. I'm a basketball player. I was.
I know that. Fun. That's a fun fact. Did not know that. So, do you prefer pizza or burgers?
Ooh, burgers. I'm Nigerian, so we eat meat with everything. So I need yeah. I Pizza is a snack, burger is a food.
That part. Ice cream or smoothies?
Ice cream for sure. I mean, a Sunday with everything can't beat it. Yeah, ice cream for sure.
How do you maintain your mental health?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, I try to work out in the morning. That's a big one that I try to do. Even if I have this thing where I try to get outside every morning. Even if I don't feel like running, I'll just go for a walk around the block, and that helps a lot. Um, Honestly, doing what I guess people call meditation, um, whether it's praying, for me is a lot of praying, whether it's like just spending some time by yourself. Um, that helps a lot. And then surrounding yourself with good people. Like at the end of the day, if you do all of that, but you're surrounding yourself with people that trigger you one way or the other, then that's going to be a difficult fight. But yeah, a lot of it is sleep a lot, exercise, surround yourself with good people.
And finally, in 3 years, what do you imagine Pressure King to be? You started to describe, but is there more you would like to add?
Yeah. I mean, in 3 years, I would like us to have done at least two more acquisitions to add to what we are now. I hope we will be at uh, all over the three states: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. Um, oh, as far as employees, I would like us to be at least 50 employees in 3 years. Um, and also, and probably the most important, I would like us to be known as a, a company that has the best customer service. I want to be in the same sentence as when people talk about Chick-fil-A when it comes to customer service. It's a lot in 3 years, but that's what I'm trying to accomplish.
Well, we believe in you. We saw a little snippet of the work you did in the 14 weeks with us. So we are here to support you, affectionately known as the MVP. Congratulations on, the success of your business and getting married. Um, and thanks for taking your time to share. Um, but I'm also going to say, check out Pressure King on IG, pressureking.inc.com. Mike is on also LinkedIn. Do not be spamming us on these platforms. We trying to do good business here. Don't do that to us. Do not spam us. But check out Pressure King.
I want to say thanks for having me. I mean, you said a lot of good things about me, but Anita was awesome in the cohort. She was big. She was the funniest member of the cohort by far. Not sure some of the jokes I can't say here, but funniest member of the cohort by far, and just so supportive. As you guys see now, I mean, just I'm sure everything you're gonna do is gonna be awesome. I mean, just just to be kind of transparent, um, part of my goals for this year is to do a little bit more in the government space, and Anita is someone that's been helping me out with that. So, you know, um, every positive vibe you shared for me is goes back to you as well. So thank you for everything.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I have the dry jokes, and yes, that's important. You need to be a part of the cohort. Yeah. So I appreciate you, Mike. Thank you so much. Please do not hesitate to check out Pressure King um, on the platforms. And again, don't spam us. I gotta put that out there. Don't spam us. We work hard with small businesses. We work hard. Do not spam us. PressureKingInc.com. Mike, sending you virtual kisses.
Thanks, Anita.
I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
So there you have it. There you have it. PressureKingInc.com. It is awesome, 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 awesome to get to know someone who actually um, did the purchase thing. Like I know somebody now who did the purchase thing, which is really, really great. But I want to also elevate some of the things that Mike mentioned. Very knowledgeable. Talked very specifically about how you learn from others. Mike does have an accounting background and mentioned that accounting is the language of business. Read a couple of books. to build your business acumen. And if you're interested in doing the business purchasing, make sure you tell people far and wide what you want. Want to also elevate that this didn't just happen overnight. As Mike mentioned, it did take a number of hours per day, per week, to get this dream, because he had a vision on what he wanted to do. And dedication, when you're looking to secure money, ask for money, that dedication is needed to be funded, because there's a lot of money in the world. And as you heard the investment banking side of Mike say, that debt funds a majority of businesses. If you want to grow and scale your business, it's really critical for your success, my success included, to consider working and leveraging the resources of financial institutions. Couple of tips, really good ones too. Make sure that it's something that you want to do when you are thinking about acquiring a business. Conversation, like mentioned, talk with yourself. You got to have the good mindset, positive thinking, but also really understanding, is this something that you really want to engage in? And then those who are going to be impacted by your decision. If you're single, then you're just having the conversation with yourself, pretty much. But if you have a family, are getting married, have children, spouses, other individuals that will be impacted, be sure that you include them in the conversation. I also want to add that a lot of times people may not understand your vision, but just make them aware that this is the space that you're looking to enter into. Seek out a mentor, as I affectionately say, an OG, original guardian, who, when you're entering into that space, definitely find someone who's done the work, not pretend, but that they have actually have proven metrics that you can use as a part of your success to help you to minimize some of your experience. Be consistent and keep going, keep going through this process, because as I mentioned, always, it is not for the faint of heart. So I'm going to share. Pressure King is on Instagram, LinkedIn. Check out Pressure King. I'm also going to share that if you are looking for business consulting services, specifically in the government strategy space, or if you're just looking to have someone that you can bump your ideas off, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are interested in your success and also to provide resources to you in your business. We're on the social platforms at 11375 on all the platform, 11375. We also have 718-691-8966, or you can email us at info@11375.com. Don't forget to like, share, follow us. These episodes will be on Instagram, Facebook. We're on TikTok and on YouTube. But I also wanted to share that if you're looking for additional resources for you and your business, as I always say, networking is really important for business exchange. You can tap into a number of chamber of commerces within the 5 boroughs. They also have them in a number of states. Upstate New York, downstate New York, you have the Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Hispanic Chamber, the Upstate New York Black Chamber, all exist to help to support you to grow and build your business. So I want to thank you for joining another episode of The Real Journey of Entrepreneurship. I am looking forward to having you like, share, and follow us, and stay current as to what's happening within our business. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining. This week, I've been thinking about the importance of social impact and what that looks like specifically for the 11375 family. Social impact for 11375 is not just something that we don't do. It's embedded in our DNA. It's part of our business model. We think and believe that it's really important to combine the art of making money and also being able to connect those specific resources to communities or things that elevate and provide good for the greater good. So for us, it is important that for the success of each project that we include social impact. Welcome to 11375. My name is Anita Pierce and I am your Chief Experience Officer. At 11375, we offer strategic alignment solutions specific to you and your business goals, and also connecting everything with social impact. So if you are looking for a really amazing organization where we help you to focus your strategy and connecting it with social impact, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are on all the social platforms, and you can contact us at 11375.